All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another Gap Mastermind. How's it going, Gil?
Bro, the fire is incredible. When I saw Nathan was going to be here today, it just it just made me giddy. Because like when this guy speaks, I take out my pencil and I start writing notes, and that's what you guys should be doing. Today is Gap Mastermind growth, action, and production. The action you've got to take right now is be a great student, take notes, and put these things into action. Because you never know when someone says something that can multiply your business, and that's why I'm always excited to be with you guys here every Monday at 1 p.m.
Absolutely. And luxury is such a powerful topic because we're always taught to make a massive impact, right? To make the most out of every minute, out of every hour of every day. And what better way to make that impact than in the luxury, and that doesn't mean you need to be a luxury agent fully, but that means you should have a luxury portion of your business. You should carve out a piece of that luxury market and dominate. And yes, if you want to take it all the way and just focus on luxury, why not? And really learning from somebody like Nathan, who is the #1 team leader in Florida, multiple years running. I mean, you couldn't be in a better place today. So I know, we always like to do some announcements. We got a couple of things going on. I know you have a powerful event coming on, Gil, in Orlando, for those Orlando agents in a few days here. And so Momentum Fire is on.
Listen, guys, you're near an airport, you might want to make it. So we've got the father of AI, Nick Krem from the Krem Institute, teaching real estate AI in a way you can do, right? And that's one of the things I love about him is everything he says is duplicatable and you're excited to do it. And then we get a listing panel, and listen to this, Nate. We've got four people on the panel collectively between the four. They have 250 listings, and they're going to show you guys not only how to get those listings, but more importantly, how to move listings in a market like today. In 2025, it's about selling those listings, not just collecting them. And then on top of that, we've got my man, Jay Kinder, who, like, if you can't get inspired and motivated to move from Jay Kinder, sold 4,000 plus homes in his career, was #2 in the world. It's this Thursday at 1 p.m. in downtown Eola Event Center. It's freaking ridiculous, gorgeous event. Bring your friends. Like, if you got a real estate buddy, like, now's the time to bring them because the momentum on agent traction right now is ridiculous. I'm getting more and more people saying, "Hey, listen, tell me more about this. What's going on right now? You guys got a lot of momentum." Like, it is a hot time in the market. Take advantage of it. And by the way, if you're not in my market and you're like, "Oh man, I wish we were going on there," reach out to me. Let's put an event in your market. Like, do not sit on the sidelines. It's time to go. Reach out to anyone inside a workplace or Facebook and stuff like that and say, "Hey, listen, can you come to my city?" And I guarantee you the answer is going to be YES. So let's go.
Love it, love it. And we also have Build at Sea coming up,
Yep.
and obviously we're just getting warmed up on that one, getting the speaker lineup and whatnot. But what can we tell them about Build at Sea so far, Gil? Why should they
Listen,
be jumping on?
uh, listen, you got to plan some fun, right? First off, you should have fun implanted into your calendar, and if when you can write that fun off, it's even better. So, Build at Sea is our second annual Build event. We're going to be doing it on the MSC, which is going to be an incredible cruise. It's going to be an opportunity for you to see some of the greatest leaders in real estate collaborate together, do some really, really cool, intimate events. Some of them might be even on the beach. So, like, you're going to want to come out to this event. For those people who went last year, they came back different. Like, I can tell the people that went to the Build at Sea, and here's why. It's one thing to go to a seminar and then, you're going to like a Tom Ferry event. I'm talking bad about Tom Ferry, but there's distractions. You can move away. Like, you're on a boat and you're going to be there. And to be honest with you, sometimes you learn the most sitting there by the poolside, sitting on the beach, sitting in the bar, like just hanging out with incredible people who are willing to share with you the building blocks for success. So, Build at Sea, you got to go out there, check out the website, buildatsea.com. It is where, I love our tagline, where pros go to grow.
Very good, guys. I mean, we've got so much energy, so much momentum, and so much awesome coming your way. So plug in. That's all we ask you. Make sure you're taking advantage of these opportunities. And the opportunity that you're plugging into today Oh my God, you're in for a treat. So, as I mentioned earlier, Nathan, number one team leader in Florida multi-year running, but he's a dear friend of us. I mean, he's an amazing guy, humble, really, really a giver, comes from contribution. He's just somebody that, you know, we get to learn so much throughout. He's been 20 years in the industry, sold over $1 billion in sales. I mean, this guy literally dominates. I think he needs no more introduction. We just need to give him the floor and get ready to write some notes. Nathan, my friend, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. The floor is yours, man.
Hey, thank you, Carlos and Gil. Glad to have met both of you and become good friends. I get inspired by so many people, and those two have definitely inspired me. Gil, we met way back in the day in Sync, and then just grew a friendship from there. So happy to be sharing with y'all today.
And by the way, I call this guy Mr. North Florida. If you got people who are in the Destin market who are looking for the most beautiful ocean, beautiful beaches in Florida, like Destin is the market, right? When you got customers, like this guy, he gives a world-class tour. He might as well be the mayor of that city. My wife and I went over there, and he showed us around. I'm like, dude, I wasn't even thinking about buying here, but like now I think we want to buy in Destin, Florida. It's gorgeous. It's white sand. It's amazing. He's the guy you want to partner up with in that market for sure.
It's kind of like EXP. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
True that.
But a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Destin, Florida, actually Fort Walton Beach, because at the time no one lived in Destin. Our area is relatively new of exposure. Really was kind of a forgotten coast until the 80s. Was around real estate since birth. My grandfather was the first real estate agent in this marketplace in '62. And then my father and my uncle ran a rental management company. And one of the things that I really was inspired by them is that they just had a vision for this area when no one else did. And they dreamed that one day it'd be a world-class vacation destination. They sold in '98, but were the main rental management company during that time. And just got to see the influence that they were able to deliver. I didn't start in luxury. I started in just trying to understand our coast. And I read the other day that 6 key areas of luxury are people, product, passion, pleasure, purpose, and price. And so I'll start off on a little bit of those products, because I do think that does surround luxury a lot. A lot of it's also the belief that you can be in that space, because so often you think that it's above your threshold or where your comfort zone is, so you try to stay away from that. And I was included in that space for a while. You get really comfortable in a market that you're working. And I'll share with you some of the layers that allowed me to maneuver into that space over time. I started in 2001. I was 21 years old. Was waiting tables at the time. After college, I went out to Lake Tahoe just to be a snowboard bum for a year after college with no responsibility. I came home and realized really quickly how difficult real estate was. I was waiting tables, and I had a goal with myself to say, once I got 3 deals under contract, I was going to maneuver full-time into real estate. And my father, being the real estate agent that he was, would always challenge me a lot. And out of the blue, he said, how's your property knowledge? I said, you know what, my property knowledge is great. Born and raised here. And so where's the number one spot that you property knowledge is? I said, well, Okaloosa Island. And I thought I knew Okaloosa Island because I grew up younger, hanging out, partying there, lived in Fort Walton Beach. He said, great, let's go take a drive. Get in the car. I completely fail that exercise miserably. What I thought I knew about property knowledge, I knew very little. He told me that maybe I should hang out my real estate career and just focus on waiting tables. So I learned at a young age that product knowledge is the most important thing to navigate expert insight with customers. And the more luxurious customer you work with, the more detailed knowledge they typically have, because they're investors, they research a lot deeper, they understand market trends. And so if you don't pay attention to building not only your product knowledge, but marketing knowledge, the overall market stats and stuff like that, you won't navigate that space very well. So the way that I started on this one general location is just looking a lot deeper than just knowing the name of the building. I started researching the homeowners associations. And so one of the ways that you can have a really great way to get super detailed insight is start Googling high-end neighborhoods or condominium towers or resort markets, and look for the homeowners association pages on site. They all mostly have a website. On most of those websites, you can dig a lot deeper between seeing floor plans, structure of the building, layout. Get in touch with the HOA managers. Deliver value for them. So I was taught to go in, introduce myself, and say, hey, would you like for me to set you up on some multiple listing updates on your development? A lot of these HOA managers, they don't have access to MLS. So naturally, if you're providing value for them, you're going to be top of mind for them when the time comes for them to send you a referral. And so I started doing that. I really paid attention. Every week I was going out to find a new resort and a new neighborhood, and I was going super deep on those neighborhoods. I would look at what's to do around the neighborhood, what's the best restaurants, coffee shops around that development, what's the lifestyle that that development offers. And so often I see agents getting into real estate, and the thing they do the least, or there's two things they do the least: picking up the phone to make calls and taking the time to learn product knowledge. And so often they're going to wait to get a customer before they try to research the market. And I really think that's a mistake, because if you can start researching the market first, you don't have to have a customer on the line to build your week out around having money-making activities. And that is truly getting to know your market on a deeper level than your competition. And you don't have to overwhelm yourself. Pick 1 to 2 properties every single week, but do a super deep dive on those properties. I want you to look at, what's the budget? What's the financials looking like? If it's a resort property, what's the rental income? What's the surrounding things around that property? What's the stacks in the building? And if you don't understand what that is, in the condo market, stacks is how the units are stacked from top to bottom. So like the O1 stack, 101 all the way up to the top of the building, let's say 1001, that's typically the same floor plan. So like the O1 stack could be an east corner stack, to the 10 stack could be the west corner stack. But understand how these resort buildings are laid out. And same with communities, more so than the homes in the communities. You really need to dig deep of the lifestyle that that community delivers. And so he continued to quiz me, my father, throughout my career, and just made me understand how important constantly learning your inventory is in order to be an expert. So ask yourself, are you doing that? Are you just sitting behind at home waiting for the customer to fall on your lap, which typically never happens? Or are you out in the field constantly through the week learning your market? Because not only are you learning your market, but you're putting yourself in environments where you have the opportunity to meet and communicate with people. So when I started, and when Carlos and Gil started, that we didn't have internet and stuff to review at home. You had to go out and beat the streets. And the only way that we could get customers is we realized on check-in day on Saturdays, no one had internet. So people were going to the building to check in. And my wife and I would ride up and down the elevator with our name tag on and a clipboard, making ourselves look like we were professionals, even though we didn't have much business. And you'd be amazed at the conversations that we'd have in that elevator. We'd say, we have a couple units open today that we're showing some customers. Would you like to see it? I said, yeah, I'd like to see it. We're waiting to check into our property. So when you're out and about looking at these properties, don't be reclusive. Go to that coffee shop that's close by. Have conversations with people. Talk to the manager there. Be a patron of those stores and environment that surrounds those developments. I'll never forget, there was a guy that was a photographer in this marketplace, and he was from Oklahoma. He was not familiar with this area. He had zero relationship. And so he really was trying to find his in into a community called Seaside. Seaside is a very expensive community in our marketplace, and he was a wedding photographer. So for a month before he did his proposal of what his background was, he just became a vendor, and all the not a vendor, but a patron, and all the surrounding vendors in this community, from the coffee shops to lunch to wine bar or have you. And over time, they thought that he was an owner in the community, that he was either there on vacation, and just started building these relationships. And he did this for a month. And they thought, man, this guy's always in. He must have a nice house down here. He's in our stores, and sparking up conversation. Well, a month into it, he said, you know, the reason why I've been here is to build a relationship, which I'm grateful for. But secondly, I own a wedding photography company, and I would love to host your family and give a free photo shoot so you can see the quality of my work on me. And if you like my work, the only thing that I ask is that you allow me to do a little bit of marketing in your store for the other vacationers and owners that are here. They loved his work. He put marketing in their stores, and before long, he became the #1 wedding photographer in all of Seaside, to the point that he was generating about $500,000 in net income in just the summer and springtime. And he would travel in the winter and the fall to go to other spots that he could build a business. Colorado was one of them. And that was simply just from going into the stores, building the relationship, because as I said in the beginning, 6 key areas of luxury. People comes first. And if you're not meeting enough people and you're not putting yourself out there and delivering value for other people, you're not going to expand on the level that you could. And you can do this everywhere. I did this at EXP. My friend John Mikish brought me into EXP, and I never expected him to build relationships for me, but he helped me get my foot in the door to build my own relationships. And I was really focused on doing that for quite a long time and have built some amazing relationships within EXP. And I can tell you, if you are not going to events and you're not putting yourself out there and communicating with people, it's only going to go so far. And I'll speak of Pete, for example. You know, he's the president of EXP Luxury. I saw him speak at an EXP event. I said, man, like, you really inspired me with your presentation. I'm just now starting to tap into luxury. And he was just so gracious in his time and started giving me some insight. And it was all through that relationship and other relationships I've met over time that helped me feel comfortable in the luxury space. My business partner, TJ Martin, here's a perfect example of understanding product knowledge and what that does for you. He was a top selling agent for DR Horton nationally. His average price point in our marketplace was $300,000 to $400,000 sales prices. That's what he was comfortable in. It was a DR Horton product. He started sitting open houses at DR Horton. And that first year, he did around 17 sales, and they were all DR Horton. And he came to me and said, hey, you know, I really want to level up my price point. How would you suggest I do that? And I said, well, do you have anyone that you're speaking to that owns luxury homes? He said, yes, I actually have an interview coming up with a homeowner that owns in Watercolor, which Watercolor is one of our highest end communities down here. He says, I don't know how to navigate this. I've never been in a house in Watercolor. I don't, know any customers over there other than this one customer. And I'm just nervous about this listing appointment. I said, well, man, why don't we go over to Watercolor for the day, hop on a bicycle, and just play tourist the entire day over there. And that's exactly what we did. And we didn't even go into a single house, but I wanted him to understand truly what the lifestyle was of that community. And so we started off by going to the on-site sales company at the time and asked them if they had a plat map and understood what the tiers of that development are. There was phase 1 through 5. So first off, I said, let's truly understand where these phases are located in the development so we can feel comfortable in that conversation with your customer. Next, I wanted to make sure I showed him all the amenities that this community offered. And little did he know, they had a section of the community that had this awesome kids camp. So when people were there on vacation, they had younger kids, they had arts and crafts and all these different things to entertain the kids. Then we went to the lake club where you can rent paddle boards and enjoy the water and experience that. Then we went to different restaurants and, the tennis club, exercise facilities. Surrounding there is Seaside and all these different restaurants and shops. We went over there. We looked at the beach club. He really felt comfortable just by being a vacationer in that marketplace. And through that experience, he was able to talk the talk of the experience that community delivers with the customer after not knowing a lot about it other than the day we shared. And from that one experience, he ended up selling a record-breaking sale, which was that listing in that community, and went on to sell other record-breaking sales. And from that experience, he realized, man, I could do this in different markets by becoming the true expert of that market. He moved into an area called West 30A, and he started the same type of journey of learning it. He says, you know, give me a year and I'm going to be the most knowledgeable person in all of West 30A. And I would challenge people's knowledge in that market against his, because just like he did on his bicycle that day, and he moved up to an electric bicycle so that he can get around a lot faster, but he started navigating the entire Western 30A corridor and learned all the ins and outs, started talking to people as he was riding around. He'd see someone putting a for sale by owner on a lot or a new real estate sign. He said, man, well, you know, tell me a little bit about that property. Through that, it turned into luxury land acquisition and to doing our own developments, partnering with developers over time. And that's what it takes. And so you got to take away the fear of stepping into a new market and just step in that market and start to learn it. People are the most important, again, and the way that you can build people relationships that in luxury areas is find out where all the luxury events are in your general area. Buy the ticket to go to it. You'll be amazed at sitting there just having a conversation as a patron on these events, the relationships that you meet. And you can imagine if you have studied some of the luxury communities that surround those conversations, now you can also speak on that expert level that they expect for a real estate agent to be at one of those events. I never came across as the real estate agent first, though. It was always about the personal connection that I could have with that person. And through my expertise over time, you were able to be a part of those communications through your knowledge versus just coming off trying to sell people. Because let's be real, no one wants to be sold anymore. We all try to get sold by every vendor out there daily. I mean, just look at the solicitation on your phone. And trying to go straight into the kill of the sale is not the way to win over truly great relationships that last. Here's how your lack of knowledge and luxury can backfire on you, and how being so real to that conversation can overcome some of that. So another community that we love down here is called Watersound. I had a customer, he wanted to list 2 lots with me in there. I was competing against some other people. He was referred to me from a mutual friend. And I went into Watersound and I knew enough for the community, but I definitely didn't know it on the level that he did. He owned 7 properties in this community. He knew all the ins and outs. We're riding around in this golf cart and he's saying, hey, Nathan, how about, what's the deal with that sale? It was an off-market deal. I didn't know it. We went to the next property. Man, what's the price point of that one that just closed? I didn't know that one either. And I realized really quickly, I wasn't worthy to level up the experience for him and to be someone that he should list with me, because I didn't do my homework. I was rushed. I just jumped in there and should have done the research beforehand, well before I met with him. And I just was super real with him. I said, you know what? I just want to be honest with you. I'm not deserving of this listing. I said, I did not take the time to learn this market and this community like I've always taken pride in doing. But I do want to challenge myself if you're willing to allow me to do so. Will you give me a week to study this community? Because I knew he was down here full time. So study this community in the way that would make me feel deserving of this listing. And I want you to quiz me again. And if I fail, I am not the right agent for you. But if I win you over, I know I've earned this relationship and would love to be the person to help sell this property. And he says, I like that. He said, yeah, bet. He said, let's take a week off, come back to me. And I want to see, I'm going to quiz you on the same things, knowing this guy clearly knew that development more than anyone else, as being a multiple owner and developer for that marketplace. I took a week off. I did that same exact thing. Got on my bicycle, went to there. I realized there was 5 different sections of that community. There was different clubhouses, different things that made that community special. I looked at the research, not just over the past year. I compared what the appreciation rate was over the past 3 years. Pretty easy to do that. You just basically take your sold inventory from, let's just say it was 2019, take your sold inventory 2019 from January through the end of the year, look at what their stats are, and then do the same comparison 2 years later, 3 years later, and see where those numbers offset each other in growth. And so I did all the research. I looked at the off-market deals. I looked at on MLS. I had I had the layout of the plot of the community. I looked at different trends that were happening. I knew how many homes sold the previous year. And I came back and I hopped back on his golf cart that day and I won him over. I got both of those listings that turned into multiple sales in that community. And to this day, I know that I continue to study that market because the markets always change. And I met one customer, and that one customer alone, through my expertise in water sound, purchased and sold over 7 homes with me in there, and the least expensive home was $1.8 million. One of the homes that they bought and sold, I realized, was that first lot that I listed and sold 10 years previous with that same customer that I finally won him over to be the listing agent. And it's funny how things run in circles. And when later in life, there was this beautiful home built on this property, and I started looking at the history of that property, like, oh my gosh, this is that lot that I sold in the beginning of my career. That was that first luxurious piece, now to be selling a home that was one of the highest sale homes in that community. And if you do great work with someone and you provide awesome service, the likelihood of them referring you someone else is super high. But if you don't take the time to learn that market, you will fall short. Do you ask for referrals when you're working with luxury? You must, in order to put that out there. And I'm always trying to, again, be a sponge and pay things forward, or pay my knowledge forward that I've heard. And I heard this one guy say that he grades himself of whether or not the person gives them a referral at the end, and was bold about it and say, hey, in the beginning of the relationship, not at the end, he would say, I really like to develop a high level of service for the experience I deliver to the customer. And the way I judge myself is whether or not you refer me someone. So I'm going to ask you at the end of this experience, did I do a good job? And the referral is going to be the determination of whether or not I did. And in the story, he said at the end, he did great service. They won over the property. And he asked his customer, he said, it doesn't seem like I served you on a high level. He said, why would you say that? He said, because as mentioned in the beginning, I grade myself off of whether or not I get a referral, and you didn't send me one. He said, I was honestly just waiting to see if you're going to be a man of your word, because you said you would ask about this. And he says, you did great service. And not only am I going to send you one referral, I have 2 customers I'm going to send to you. So make sure to ask for those referrals, but grade that referral, making you feel confident in asking it based off of the way that you serve that customer. One of the things I can tell you as well is that the higher you want to provide great service to everyone, but a lot of these high net worth people, they're used to being catered on, right? You want to provide a level of service that makes them feel aligned with what they're already used to. People, always going back to people, you'd be amazed at the people that you serve that you don't think is going to be a future luxury person, or a referring luxury, or a person refer you someone luxury. So you might blow that off a little bit. This is a really fun kind of story. My business partner and I, we had this lady that she asked us to help her sell her trailer. We show up to this mobile home park. It was a pretty rundown mobile home park, but she had a beautiful trailer, probably the nicest trailer I've been in, but surrounding it was not so nice. And my business partner, he asked him, he said, hey, is there any type of HOA here? And the guy says, well, the way that we handle HOA here, if someone doesn't do something that you like, we punch them right in the mouth. And so TJ and I were trying to figure out a way to talk her out of selling this property with us. We're like, man, we don't know we're going to go down this road on this one. And we were saying, this could be a really great property for you to rent. And she said, no, I want you to sell it. And so we took the leap of faith. We listed this mobile home. We had 30 inquiries on it the first day. We actually double-sided this mobile home. Well, come to find out, that woman that owned this mobile home and liked to be off the grid a little bit, family had 5 Gulfront lots that they owned. And we're like, well, gosh, why are you living in the mobile home if you have all these Gulfront lots? And she says, I like that laid back behind the scenes lifestyle. But she said, our family's been an investor in this marketplace for the past 30 years. And they own Gulfront product they bought way back in the day that was a lot of value today. It's like, it just goes to show, like, don't ever judge a book by its cover. You never know what those opportunities are behind it. And I can tell you what I've learned also in people, the wealthier the person is, the less they talk about it. And so often you hear people that talk about all these things and it's all a show. But most people that have extreme wealth, well, often they're not driving the super fancy car, right? There's a reason why they built wealth over time, and a lot of them are very frugal about their spending habits. There's obviously, when you have the type of wealth that allows you to do this luxury items, they do that as well. But most of the wealthiest people that you meet, you wouldn't even know it through that conversation until you see them in a event or somewhere that you're at. And so the first start too is, really starting to look in your market and say, what's something that would put me out of my comfort zone? And that's an event that's based around luxury. And let me go there just to build relationships and have a good time, not to be the salesperson. Through those relationships that you meet, go to another luxury event in that market. And the likelihood of you seeing the similar people over time at these events is super high. And over time, you become a familiar face, just like that guy did at all the vendors in Seaside, acting as a patron. They started recognizing him and became, again, the top photographer in that market because of the relationships that he built. My highest sale in my lifetime came from a referral I got from a girl I went to college with. It wasn't because she knew I just focused on luxury. It's because she saw me day in, day out, study the market, to have good relationships, to know that I had a strong work ethic. And through that relationship, when she came across who is today my most luxurious customer, wasn't because of me just being in the luxury market. It was because she knew that I was going to show up right and make them shine as the person that they referred me to. And I did. It started off as a $2 million investment that turned into, a $16 million investment. Once that happened, I had the confidence to say, man, I can do this. And that's carried on from that point on to be focused around luxury. It literally can take one opportunity that changes your entire track record of the type of properties that you're selling. And again, it always goes back to people. It wasn't because I was just only polished in luxury. It was because of that 20-year relationship back from college that saw the way I navigated our industry and the way that I showed up for people and why I got that referral. Another thing too is, like, you got to understand luxury lifestyles and product and stuff like that. But most luxury people just want you to keep it real. They're so used to people creating this fake facade about, oh, I'm this luxury person and I drive this luxury car, even though it's mortgaged to the hilt. I speak luxury. I have all the luxury clothing, but many times can't afford it and living so far beyond your means. I have found that my end with my highest net worth people is the fact that I don't change who I am with them as I do with the lowest price customer. What you see is what you get. I tell the same jokes. I still cut up. I have fun, because so often you got to think that everyone is trying to, upsell them. And one of the things that family said is that you never treated me differently from the entry price and luxury that we spoke to you about to where we ended up. And we knew that you truly cared about us as people before the property. And a lot of wealthy people that have opportunity, everyone's just trying to sell them something all the time. Only tell them about opportunities or ways that they can have commission, and they get commission breath. Another example of a customer that I have is that when I first met with him, I knew his son. I didn't ask him about what properties I could list or sell for him. I just simply asked, man, like, I've heard a lot about you from your son, and man, like, the things that you've done has really inspired me. How did you get started in building the wealth that you have? Would you mind just taking me back to to the beginning. And he was so excited to share that with me. And he talked about how he was working rental management and he met a developer guy there and just was a sponge for knowledge. And he shared with me all the steps throughout his lifetime that turned into where he was today. And we built an incredible relationship from that. And we were eating at this nice restaurant, and I just saw all these people would see him, very visible person. Everyone was just coming to our table, hitting him up. I got this deal. I got this deal. I got this opportunity. And he was just like, it was exhausting. And he says, I can tell you what has really hit home for me is like when I actually visit with you, we're just talking about life and building a relationship. You've never once tried to sell me anything. And 10 years down the road, he says, I've worked with a lot of different agents, a lot of different people in my career. And my son is wanting to get into real estate. And out of all the people that I met, you're the one that I want to guide my son in helping him build a career in real estate. And it came from all those breakfasts that we had. And he would come into town and call and say, hey, you want to get together for some breakfast? And even when I wasn't actively working on a deal with him at the time, we just continued to build that relationship. And it all came down to the fact that I was just super curious about him as a person before the properties. Challenge yourself in product knowledge, right? You owe it to yourself to look in your marketplace, maybe type in at a minimum price point that would, because every area has a different evaluation of luxury. Type in at a different price point that is beyond where you're at. And it might even be like, hey, I'm at a $400,000 price point. I want to start get comfortable in a $600,000 price point. Am I surrounding myself around $600,000 properties? Am I learning $600,000 plus communities? Take the knowledge you get from that and put that into $1 million plus property. From there, just continue to jump up and where your comfort zone is. I've seen some people that go straight into luxury, right? They have a vision on luxury. They said, I want to jump straight into luxury. So just because you're a new agent also doesn't mean that you can't become a luxury agent. One of the guys, we just did a little mastermind here, brand new to the marketplace. And he's built his entire business on luxury first. And how did he do that? He found all the people that had luxury listings within his brokerage because he didn't have any. And he said, hey, can I do an open house for you? And he made the open house like truly an event. Like when you come to his open houses, it feels like you're on like a Broadway production. I mean, it's like the red carpet service, and people just looked at it like, man, this is fun. I mean, and he would even said that, he'd go to these luxurious communities and he'd have red balloons on all of his signs. And it just caught people's eye. Like, man, what is this? And they go in there and he'd have his face on the different signs. Well, over time, he was consistent in the places he was doing the open houses, and people start seeing his face. And when they'd walk in, they're like, man, I've been seeing your signs everywhere, because it wasn't just a one and done open house. He would pick a location that might have a nice luxury home, and he would do it every weekend, both Sunday and Monday, or if you want to do it during the weekday, but have consistency around that. And over time, they started seeing his work ethic, what he put into his open houses, to where other sellers started coming in when those homes sold and said, man, I want you to list my property. Gosh, I've never seen an agent be so consistent in creating this open house environment. And every one of his properties has been north of $1 million. Within his first year in his company, he became the #1 agent in that marketplace in his company, simply from open houses. So what did that do though? He knew the market. So at all of his open houses, he knew what was surrounding that house. He had stats printed out. He had all the details so that he could have a high level conversation. What I would challenge you with this week is to just pick a new community that's completely out of your comfort zone. Pick an event where you think you may not be worthy to be there, and go as a patron versus a sales agent. Get comfortable in that space of communication. Start understanding what's happening in your marketplace. Look at high-end publications. Look at the Wall Street Journal. Look at different things so that you can speak some of that language in conversation. Understand the things that a lot of luxurious people like to do, things they like to do. They like to go to the beach and the mountains and different spots. And it's like, I know a lot of people would just like, let's say Pensacola. Pensacola it's one of the oldest, if not the oldest city in the state of Florida, even over St. Augustine. And it's amazing to me how, like, if you're in downtown Pensacola, no one ever breaks out to work the resort market on the beach, which is typically a higher level or waterfront homes. They kind of just stay in their lane. People that are on the beach don't jump over. So, like, I wanted to learn it all. So, to me, I had the deals that paid my bills and might not have been the sexier deals on price point, but I have those home run hits all the time in luxury as well. And I'm a sponge for market knowledge. And you hear me say sponge a lot. I just try to absorb that in. And it's like, man, if I want to get good in a different marketplace, I'm going to get after that marketplace. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, to explore a neighborhood, like I have said multiple times, is hop on a bicycle physically, or go for a walk the entire community. Don't just drive up to a house, look at the house, leave the house. You've missed everything that you can learn. Get on a bicycle, find a walking path, and canvas it. Take your dog over there or something. Walk your dog, just because people talk to your pet, talk to you. They see a pet and they want to talk to you because of that. Go to all the places that surround that, but spend an entire day there. Say, man, I'm going to learn this community inside and out. I'm going to have fun with it today. I'm going to see the lifestyle that this community meets. I'm going to be a patron at the surrounding vendors and take notes. Before you go to that event, before you go to that neighborhood, print out a Google map, see what surrounds it, right? Look online. Again, Google the, let's say for Water Sound Homeowners Association. Most of them have a website. Start looking at the website. Get on MLS, look at the price points that are on the market in there compared to what has sold there. Understand how many properties have sold there in the past year. This data is key to becoming an expert of that marketplace. And then once you finally get there after doing some review, have fun with it. Go there to enjoy that community like other people enjoy that community, because a lot of these communities do have surrounding amenities that are open to the public. And as a real estate agent, we have a gift. We can get into most properties, right? Bring your business cards with you, get into these communities. We have a community down here called Kelly Plantation. You know how many agents just go to see one house in Kelly Plantation, but they don't take the time to see that they have an awesome homeowners club there that people can lease out and have birthday parties and events. Every time at happy hour on the Fridays, they have a homeowners gathering there. When everyone's coming off the golf course or whatever, they have meals and different things that are going on there. Go there as a patron. Like, you'll be amazed at the relationships that you can have. Find places that are doing charity around luxury. We have this huge wine auction that they have here. There's really high net worth people in there. But you have to navigate putting yourself in rooms that are higher rooms than what you're used to in sales, and you get comfortable in that space. And you start having higher level conversations. You got to be really passionate about what you're doing, right? Like, you know, people, I realize in our marketplace, which is my native home, people come down here and they see our beaches and they're just, you know, in awe over them. And you can almost see people just standing there on the boardwalk that have seen it for the first time. I connect with a lot of people through restaurants, right? People like to dine and say, man, have you ever heard of Vintage down here? It's one of my favorite local spots. Everyone wants to have a true local contact. I'm like, no, I haven't. I'm like, hey, you should check it out. It's one of my most favorite restaurants. And when you go in there, ask for Todd. He's the owner there. Tell him I referred you to them. He'll take good care of you. I love going there for lunch. They walk in and say, hey, Todd, is Todd here? Oh, yeah, Todd's here, because I know he's there every day for the lunch. They have really amazing food. Like, hey, Nathan referred me to come to your restaurant today. Like, oh, great. Let me get you this awesome seat over here, right? The vendors are so important too, because if you have places that you're referring to develop a great lifestyle for people, and you guide them of how to access that restaurant and who to ask for, they're going to have a better experience. I mentioned John Mikish earlier. He told me, you know what, I'm not a beach person. I don't like the beach. I'm a mountain person. You know, I'll come down there to see your spot because we're friends, but don't expect me to enjoy it that much. And so I'll tell you what, if you come down here to enjoy the beach, I'm going to give you a list of my favorite local spots to enjoy that's going to be very different than what the tourism council is probably going to share with you. And so I created a list, all my favorite restaurants, entertainment, different things, who the owners were of those restaurants, who to ask for when they went there. And two or 3 days into it, he called me and says, he says, my wife, Jen, every time someone gives us a list like this, it's like the same cheesy list that you can find that all the other tourists know about. He said, but yours was very different. Every place that I went to, we enjoyed. The customer service that was delivered to me was awesome. They all knew who you were. And he said, my daughter said this was the best vacation that she has ever been on in her life. And this is coming from someone that did not like beaches, nor did he really want to go to. It's almost like he was doing me a favor to come down to this marketplace. They ended up putting a property under contract before they left, which is a luxury property. Through that property, it made him a great return on investment 3 years later. And the one thing that he wishes that he didn't do is sell that property because they're missing the lifestyle that they had here. Again, it wasn't about sales. It was just about a place that I loved, a place that I cherished, and me guiding him on his vacation, that he truly felt it was a thoughtful direction of how to enjoy this place for vacation that turned into an awesome sale and referrals from there down the road. So be passionate about the market that you're selling, be passionate about the places that make you feel happy. Share that passion of relationships that you have with these vendors that you can develop that experience for other people. Because it's so much more than just the property. And I can tell you the luxurious people that I work with, when I provide them a path of things to do that I know they're going to have an awesome enjoyment through, they will remember you for it. And it's not always we're about to spend money, but like, man, like when it's crowded down here, like there's this kind of hidden beach spot, which is the state park that I think you're going to absolutely love. There's these natural springs an hour north of here that probably the tourism council is never going to share. And if you go out there and take some paddle boards with you, I know of a guy that can rent you some paddle boards and set up a rack on your car to take them out there. Go enjoy something different than just the beach. You want to go on a boat? Man, I got this awesome guy to take you fishing. He's a personal friend of mine, a guy that I grew up with. Like lifestyle means so much to people that are buying luxury, right? They want to come down and feel like they have the go-to person that can help them all things. They call our area the Emerald Coast, help them with all things Emerald Coast, not just selling property. Right. And that's how you really tap into these relationships and how you get the referrals to other people, because not only did you help them sell and buy and sell high-end properties, but you're also delivering experience for them that they'll never forget because you're leading them with your heart and things that you know that's going to bring them pleasure and have a big purpose around your life too, right? Like there's a bigger purpose than just selling real estate and tapping into those conversations as well. But again, it comes down to people, number one, product, number two, truly understanding your product, having a passion for what you do, finding pleasure, things that would be pleasurable to them, having purpose in your life, and then understanding different price points. And this, when I read the 6 key areas of luxury, price point was listed last. It was all the things in front of it that had that connection piece. And the level up in price point just came with that experience that you were delivering, the knowledge that you built. So that's kind of how I got started. I mean, I still to this day don't focus on just luxury alone. I focus on all real estate markets, but I truly just want to be a true local connection to my market, because you'll be amazed at how many different price points on all different prices lead to just maybe some of your most highest record-breaking sales of that marketplace that many times can come from a price point that you never expected it to come from. So serve everyone on a high level, be a great extension for people, be a connector, know your market, and take the time to learn it and roll that forward to other people.
Man, absolutely amazing. And, I have a lot of notes here, but I'm a fan of mindset. I feel like everything comes from the way you think. And, there's a couple of things that are very evident in what you're breaking down. And that is, you have to have the mindset of an expert, right? You need to know your product. Like if you go buy a car, a luxury car, and they ask you for $200,000, and then you're like, what? 200,000? Why? And the person can't explain to you why. You're not going to buy the car. There's no value in it. But when you can explain the fact that, hey, this car is made limited edition, there's only 200 in the world, this is a special color, it's handmade, it's the different leather, like the feeling of it is what leads to the price. That's why prices last, right? And it translates to everything that you were saying, Nathan, which is, hey, what is the lifestyle? It's not just four walls that look pretty, but what's around? And can you be my guide and tell me how do I experience that? So that's super key in understanding that the product, if you don't know your product, how are you going to properly present that product? Then, you know, people don't believe what they're told, they believe what they experience. You can say, hey, it's an amazing community, it's awesome, life-changing, changed my life, I love it, it's an amazing. No, is, hey, go experience these few things, right? And then come back to me, let me know how you feel. That's really the power, right?
And I think product too, well, I know product is understand high-end interior finishes. Because if you're going in and you don't know the difference between that, you're going to lose confidence in the customer. Because I can tell you, the higher luxurious the customer becomes, they're used to understanding really detailed product. You need to know the difference in stone between granite to quartz to what's synthetic, what's natural, between marbles and different things. You look at different flooring, and the first way that you can do that, which they'll be happy to share with you, find the highest end interior design company in your marketplace or a kitchen and bath store, and just spend some time there and say, hey, I would love to come in. I'm really focused on stepping into a higher luxurious price point. And I'm prospecting a lot of luxurious customers that I would love to build a extension of who I can refer them to. Would you mind me spending a couple hours with you, just walking your store and teaching me about your products, so that I can speak on a high level to that customer, right? Because when you can see that in a home, say, man, like, I love this Pecky Cypress trim work they did on the ceiling. Like, oh yeah, I have Pecky Cypress in my home at home back home. Or gosh, these marble showers are just beautiful here. And I love the natural woods that they've used in here and the type of appliances that they're putting in, right? People pay more for a Sub-Zero fridge because it makes them feel good. They know the quality of that refrigerator, right? The built-in Wolf appliances to Viking and different things. Like, if you're not aware of what those things are, or not, at least not taking the time to learn about those items, it's hard for you to engage in that conversation when you're walking those homes. Surround yourself around high-end interior designers in your marketplace, architects. It's all the people that you can provide to these folks that's going to be the difference maker. Not just knowing the inventory, not just being in luxurious relationships at events, but really start paying attention to the luxurious vendors that can serve these luxurious customers, and that in itself having a direct referral from you to someone that's going to take good care of them. That service is expected, and when you can help provide the layers to do that for them, that also keeps you top of mind for them.
Love it. Product, guys, definitely very, very key. And right after those relationships, right? The next thing I wrote down, and I think, this one obviously can lead us in a few different areas, but your mindset around deserving the success, right? Like the story about, hey man, this listing, I don't deserve it. I really haven't polished myself up enough. That reminded me of a quote by Jim Rohn, which is, you will attract the level of success you deserve by the person you've become, right? So who you become is what attracts the level of success, because if you're pursuing the success, but you're not prepared, it won't come to you. But if you're pursuing sharpening your axe, like you said, Nathan, it starts there. Don't try to get the customer before you even know the product. Right? Now, you put in the time, investments, and tenure. One thing that obviously you and I are part of is EXP Luxury, which is, this one Mastermind, it's not enough. You have to go deeper. And are you willing to make the investment to go deeper? So we have EXP Luxury as an opportunity to do that, to be around luxury agents, to be in an environment where luxury is honing every single day. What can you tell them about EXP Luxury and how they can take advantage of what's offered there?
There's some great luxurious marketing products to tap into, but for me, it is being connected to that lifestyle that with agents that are serving these high-end customers. And so often I think people look at groups that they can be in and like, what can you do for me? What tools do you have and all these things? But often it's so worth the investment just to be able to be surrounded by other people that are selling luxury, because you learn from that. Like, I think, I've said over and over again, Carlos, that one thing that building in your career continues to go back to, number one, is people. It's not about all the other things as much as the relationships that you can build. And so like Tina Call, for example, like we became really close, a lot closer in luxury, right? We speak about how she was tapping in the luxury and I was, and you, Carlos, and just different folks that are in that group, Kyle, and just high level people that are working, high level customers. And I can tell you that the conversations that get opened in those rooms expand your mind, allow you to learn things from other people that you can tap into your own customers. And I think number one, it's surrounding yourself with people that are focused on that market. Number two, they do have some really great luxurious items. They have, luxurious events and stuff too that you can attend and just be a part of that overall lifestyle that allows you to speak that knowledge to the people that you're also serving.
Love it. Love it. All right. Very good. So we're going to wrap up right now, but before we let you go, I want to remind you that EXP is hosting rallies all across the United States. So there's many different rallies, and you can go into Workplace and search for the EXP rallies and find out more. I'm personally excited about the one in Central Florida because Nathan and I are going to be there, and we're going to be bringing fire for you guys. And if you want to spend more time around top level people, find your local rally, get into those rooms and mastermind. The one in Central Florida is May 7th. And is going to feature a panel where Nathan is going to be unpacking even more strategies along with other team leaders. And you don't want to miss it. There's multiple keynotes. Leo Pareja is going to be, our CEO of EXP Realty is going to be there as well. And, you want to stay plugged in. Nathan, thank you so much for all the value, for being so humble, so abundant, and such a good person. We thank you, we appreciate you, and keep crushing it, my man. You deserve all the greatness that come to you and what is yet to come.
Appreciate you.
Right, guys, see you next week.